So this drawing technique is called organizational line. And the aim of organizational line is to create a graph that measures distances of objects from other objects, scale of objects in relationship to other objects, and creates essentially like a personalized graph paper or grid to build your still life within. So this works well when you're trying to organize many objects together of varying sizes and degrees. So here I've got a couple bottles, a couple rolls of tape, and the first thing you want to do in this drawing style is to identify one object that you can utilize as your unit of measure. And since this bottle is one of the tallest bottles, and I know where its bottom is and I know where its top is, I'm going to use that bottle to measure everything in this still life according to it. So if this bottle is 1 pencil lengths tall, so I will hold my hand out, extend it, lock your elbow, close one eye so that you lose depth perception, and measure that bottle according to your pencil. And see, like, we'll say this is 1 pencil length, okay? And then I know right away the one beside it is an identical bottle, and even though I can't see the bottom, I know where the tops are, and I know they're identical, so I know that they will end at the same point, okay? So my first line for this bottle is a vertical axis. It's central axis, okay? Once I found that, I instantly just figured out how far apart they were from each other. And that distance looks like it's the same distance from the tip to the bottom of the bottle is the distance between the two tips. So once I had this bottle established, I used this bottle to get me over to the other bottle. And with these 2 units of measure, I had a lot to build on. So right under the cap, I extended a horizontal line, and that basically kept me to my other mason bottle. So I knew I was reaching the top of this bottle by reaching the bottom of the squeeze bottles. There are a couple points that were really interesting. The edge of this bottle intersected well with the bottle that's on its side. The edge of that bottle got me the edge of this tape really well and the edge of the interior of the bottle. So they're not perfect, but they're alignments that help you place things in a smarter way. Always look for centers. So here's the center of the cap, and I extended it up, and I knew this bottle was mostly to the left. Okay, just helps me place it. The bottom of the tape was well in front of everything else. The bottom of the second tape actually aligned really well with the bottom of the bottle. The tape and the bottle aligned almost perfectly, and the back of the tape gave me the bottom of the inside of the bottle, and it got me really close to where the label was. So I had this sort of crosshair now. I knew I was like really close to being accurate when I extended that line, and I was in the right about way. So we're going to go ahead and play this, and you can see me build this up slowly. You're going to start really lightly, and you're going to be just laying lines down, not really objects, just a grid. And then when the grid is down, you can start building these objects within the grid, okay? And things will shift as you move. That's perfectly fine. But you really want to make sure the measurements are correct before you start really creating dark edges and any kind of shadow play. This is mostly a line drawing, but you might have to kind of indicate like holes. I indicate holes of the tape, or just small details so I understand where I am in the drawing. But that's what this drawing's about. It's all about location. Like where is the viewer in relationship to everything else? So let me get those lines nice and dark in front now. And you can really see how those lines help keep your still life knitted together accurately in the spaces. And I didn't show you a lot of times when I was measuring space too. Sometimes it's not the object, but like this space is a pretty specific amount of space. And I knew I was on the half of this bottle, and I knew I hadn't reached the other half. But this kind of little negative space could have been correlated with something in the bottle. Maybe it's this distance here at the top of the bottle. Could be a good corresponding point. But you want to find several points of height, width, length, or alignment for every object. Every object should have several of these. And the easy ones to start with are their own central axis. The vertical axis and the horizontal axis of every object should really help you figure out where that grid is, basically, so that when you start building your objects on your grid, you're like, well, I know this bottle sits within this diagonal grid, right? I know the two crosshairs that are identical are the two bottles. So definitely don't just start drawing. Spend some time creating and measuring against your one object. That's the key. This drawing can be any size. It depends on how big you started this bottle, right? Like this is my unit of measure that I measured all the other units on. So I could have made that drawing 2 feet tall and nothing else would have changed. The proportions remain the same, but then it would have been based on a 2-foot tall bottle. This could be 2 inches. Doesn't matter. Now everything's corresponding according to that 2-inch bottle. So your first scale is kind of arbitrary, okay? So just look at your page and see how big you think you can work within the space you have. And then start measuring everything against that one unit you understand really well. So let's take this backwards, just so you guys can kind of see it again. So start super light like this because it's really going to help you to see where those bottles and objects are going to go pretty easily. Okay, good luck.